All right, let's dive into the absolutely wild and honestly hilarious story of a guy who wanted nothing more than to be the galaxy's biggest, baddest villain, but just kept failing upwards. This is our recap for Volume 1 of I'm the Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire.
That right there, that's our hero, Liam Sarah Banfield. And I use the term hero very loosely. See, he's not out here saving the day. He's in the middle of a massive space battle, having the time of his life being an absolute tyrant. And honestly, he loves it.
But how did we get here? Well, Liam wasn't born this way. In fact, he used to be a regular guy, just like you or me. But after a truly miserable life ended in betrayal, he got a second shot, reborn as a noble in a far-off, futuristic empire. And his one goal, his whole reason for being, to be as evil as humanly possible.
Now, you're probably asking, why? Why would anyone choose to be evil? To get that, you really have to understand the life he was forced to leave behind, a life so full of pain it completely rewired his soul. In his first go-around, he played by the rules. He was a good dude, and what did he get for it? A cheating wife, a mountain of debt, and a lonely, painful death. So he came to a pretty simple conclusion. Being good sucks. This time he's going to be selfish, he's going to be cruel, and he's going to take whatever he wants. It's the ultimate villain origin story. A good man decides if the world's going to be cruel, he'll just be crueler.
And who gave him this second chance? Some benevolent god? Nope. It was this creepy, shadowy figure called the Guide. And get this, the Guide didn't do it out of kindness, he did it for fun. He literally reincarnated Liam just so he could sit back and watch him suffer all over again.
So, at the ripe old age of 5, Liam becomes the lord of his own territory. His plan is simple: rule with an iron fist, tax everyone into oblivion, and live like a king. But this is where everything starts to go wrong by going incredibly, hilariously right. He quickly gets a staff. First, there's Brian, a super loyal old-school butler. Then, there's Amaji, a cutting-edge android maid. And because he was betrayed so badly in his past life, Liam decides he can only trust the cold, hard logic of a machine. No messy human emotions for him, thanks. And this is where it gets amazing. Liam just sees Amagi as a perfect, emotionless tool. But his butler, Brian, he sees a deeply lonely little boy clinging to an android for comfort. And it leads to some, well, let's just say it leads to some pretty uncomfortable moments for poor Brian. So Liam starts his evil reign. He gets rid of a bunch of corrupt officials, mostly because they were annoying him, but his people see it as a righteous crusade for justice. He pours money into the planet's development so he can tax them more later. They see it as brilliant, forward-thinking leadership. It really makes you wonder, if a ruler's selfish actions make everyone's lives better, does his motivation even matter? Okay, every evil lord needs to know how to fight, right? You gotta have some personal power to back up the bad attitude. So Liam decides to learn swordsmanship, but the Guide is not about to make that easy for him.
At this point, the Guide is just fuming. Liam is accidentally becoming this beloved, perfect ruler, so he decides to step in. He messes with fate to make sure Liam doesn't get some legendary master. Oh no, he gets Yashushi, a lazy, washed-up con artist who barely knows how to hold a sword.
Yashushi's training is a total joke. Seriously, he teaches Liam the most basic moves possible, shows him some fighting videos he probably found on the space internet, and then just spouts random inspirational quotes. It's a complete scam.
But here's the crazy part. Liam is so determined, and he genuinely believes his master is a reclusive genius, so he takes all this nonsense dead seriously. He practices the basics until they're beyond perfect, and through sheer grit, he accidentally creates a brand new, legendary sword style. A style so powerful, it makes his fraud of a teacher absolutely terrified.
So, let's check in. Liam's people adore him. He's accidentally become a master swordsman. He's basically the perfect hero. For the Guide, this is the absolute last straw. Time to bring the pain.
You see all that hope and gratitude coming from Liam's territory? It's like poison to the Guide, who literally feeds on suffering and negativity. He's disgusted, so he pulls some strings and calls in a massive fleet of brutal space pirates to just burn everything to the ground.
So, does our noble lord rush out to defend his people? Haha, no way. He sees a bunch of pirates and thinks, perfect, some weaklings I can crush to make myself look even more powerful. He jumps into his personal mech, the Avid, not to be a hero, but to hog all the glory for himself.
But his soldiers on the battlefield, they don't see his selfish thoughts. They see their lord leading from the very front, tearing through the enemy like a demigod. While Liam's in his cockpit thinking about how cool and evil he is, his men are watching in awe, thinking they've just met the greatest hero in the galaxy.
And that number says it all. 1. One person against an entire pirate fleet. He single-handedly turned the tide of the battle. And in doing so, he doesn't become the evil tyrant he's always dreamed of. He becomes a living legend, a war hero, and the savior of his people. The irony is just delicious.
The pirates are gone. Liam is a hero. His people's gratitude is off the charts. And for the guide, this isn't just a failure, it's pure agony.
All of that positive energy, all that love for Liam has literally made the guide sick. It's weakening him, draining his power. He is cornered, he's furious, and he knows he has to do something drastic to make Liam finally suffer.
So, with what little power he has left, the guide unleashes his final, most cruel plan. If he can't attack Liam from the outside, he's going to make his life a living hell from the inside. He goes searching for the only people in the entire galaxy who don't feel a shred of gratitude for Liam. And who does he find? His own awful, greedy family. The very parents and grandparents who cast him out as a kid. Now, seeing his success, they are green with envy. And that makes them the perfect pawns.
All it takes is a few whispers of greed, a little stoking of their jealousy, and the guide sets them on a collision course with Liam. His final curse is simple. The family that abandoned him will now come back to take everything he's built.
And that's where we leave things. Liam has fought off pirates and fools only to become a beloved hero against his will. But now he's facing a threat he never anticipated, one that comes from his own blood. So the question is, how can a man who only trusts an android possibly survive a betrayal by his own family? I guess we'll just have to wait for Volume 2 to find out.
Plot capsule.